Good morning. I'm Bob Starkey. I'm back again to discuss some areas of city government that I'm concerned with. Certainly I'm glad that Mr. Potter opened the door and said that one thing that he was a little disappointed with, I think, was that not enough people came and asked him about things. So I'm going to try to keep him from being disappointed. The area this morning that I think is real critical, we got firemen, school teachers, highway patrolmen, city policemen, a young boy that I guess was going to high school or college on our city council. And as far as I know, none of them have ever made a payroll. None of them ever owned a business. And the city's become an investment mongrel. They are investing. Now, the areas that I guess that they do and we would like for them to do is spend the money wisely and invest the money wisely. So, got a couple of situations, a couple of things that appear to me that my father always said that the smartest people he ever knew were the people that knew they didn't know quickly. These guys, I printed the other day. Now, I haven't investigated them all. It'll take me a long time to do that. Here's a list of properties that are up in the courthouse. City of Scottsboro, under the City of Scottsboro. Some of them are under City of Scottsboro without the "the." There's supposed to be possibly another category. This list, I think, is 106 pieces of property. The government's purpose is to protect us. So we've got 18-year-old, whatever he was, representing us for investment. I guess he was there when they decided to build the warehouses in Hollywood, appropriated that money. Why do we need investments? I think last week the city, because they couldn't get any return on their investment, let one of the organizations in Scottsboro have a building out on the 4-lane that they hadn't been able to sell, get any of their money back, let them have it for $1. And I think, of course, it got written up in the paper as an accolade. This is great. This is a great thing for the city to do. That purchase and that loss, me and you and a lot of other people will be paying that back for a long time. So why did Mr. Hodges want to do that? I don't know if Keith was on there when that happened. There's a lot of other things that have been bought. We've got 106 pieces of property right here. Another thing about these pieces of property, it's a double slam to us as the taxpayers. There's no property taxes paid on this. If that was out in the private sector, we'd all be paying property taxes. Somebody would. At least property taxes would come into the city where it would pay off some of this debt and we could get our sales tax to a reasonable amount. We could get some other things reasonable. I hear this deal, I heard it the other night. Oh, but the federal government, we got a special deal on this stimulus. But the federal government's going to pay 55% of the interest for a while, or whatever. Well, the last time I checked, Scottsboro was in the United States. under the federal government. And the last time I checked, I paid federal taxes. So unless Peru or Bolivia or somebody has made some type of a, I guess, contribution and run it through Congress and said, we would like to take that 55% interest that's on that debt down there in Scottsboro, Alabama, and pay for it out of Bolivia. I guess if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be paying. You're going to be paying. Investing in 106 pieces of property. Just last week, couldn't move the piece of property out of. Do we have the most elaborate city jail in the United States? Yeah, according to some people that were here when they were installing it, they'd never seen equipment like that. They said they'd been putting in jails from New York to Los Angeles. And one of the comments from one of the men said, this must be the richest town in the United States. They're putting stuff in that we've never even heard of. We're trying to learn how to put it in down here that this city's bought. Now the reason, part of that is this building, I think, that's out on the park, out on the 4-lane. I think it's, I don't know where it is. I think it's maybe next to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Impact now is taking it for $1 a year. What a wonderful charitable thing. But why did we own it to start with? What do we pay for it? How much are we losing? How much interest are we paying on the loan that we borrowed the money? Because we're in debt, so it's borrowed money. If we hadn't bought it, if we'd bought it out of cash because we had whatever money in, we wouldn't be paying interest. We're paying interest on that, but we're renting it for $1. I don't have anything against the Impact Center. Impact Center probably serves a good purpose. Oh, 106 pieces of investment property right here. Got a warehouse in Hollywood, speculative warehouse, to compete with all the landowners and people that have got buildings that they're paying property taxes on every year. Do you think EDA shows that one first? EDA step out on there and, they've made it out in the paper that it's such a great idea. Why don't the people from EDA buy it? Those people. Why don't they go home and get their wives together and get up enough money and buy it? Get us off the note. It gets presented in the newspaper as this wonderful type thing that's happening. Man, they've just done the greatest thing in the world. What are the ramifications of that? You got people all over the city that's got buildings to rent. How good of investment were those? Well, there's a building up there. A prospect came to town, and he put a building up there by it. I understand. A friend of mine went up there to talk to him about something. He asked him, said, why didn't you get one of those buildings? He said, I couldn't afford it. Square footage cost on that thing, I could build it a whole lot cheaper. So now we got a city that don't know how to build a building competitive. They can't even sell it. Now they debacled the thing to TVA, but TVA is a hoax anyway. They're talking about getting to their ceiling, I think. Cost doesn't matter to them. They just go up on the rate. I remember back when Jimmy Carter asked us, he said, cut your water heaters down. We need to save energy. We cut our water heaters down. I read about 4 months later, TVA had a 22% increase in the rates. The reason for the increase in the rates of TVA? Because the demand was down. If the demand went down, lay some people off. Shut some things down. Stop that stuff. If you weren't planning on doing that and you made us take a cold shower, now we're paying the same amount taking a cold shower. I don't know why we would have people that are in high school or college, people that are chief of police, people that are firemen, that have never spent any of their money to do anything. would want to invest and us have 106 pieces of property that there's no property taxes being paid on. I'm not saying that we got to get rid of all of it, but I mean, we got a Taj Mahal City Hall. We got a Taj Mahal everything. But I guess, you know, if they'd been raised by my daddy, they wouldn't have done that. He said it 10,000 times to me, and I believed it. There ain't no free lunches. I'm going to be paying for it. And I don't like what they've been doing. I don't like who we've elected. I don't like the offering we have. Career government employees as all of our elected officials. How good are they investing? Don't look too good. Got a thing right here on this island. They bought this island out here where I am at Goose Pond. Not a way, not one way to get to any of the property. Railroad came down that side, conveyor belt goes down that way, and what they had to do, lawlessly, they had to cut the railroad without permission from the Federal Railroad Commission, the Alabama Public Service Commission, or any of the landowners that the railroad affected. No permission. Well, I understand it, that group, I think Mr. Hodges was there, he could tell us about it, if he will. They looked both ways and there wasn't anything coming down the railroad, so they declared it abandoned. That don't happen. I got a friend, his son was picking up spikes from where they were taking a railroad out, and they almost arrested him. He was picking them up and putting them in a 5-gallon bucket, and they got all over. That's so tight. Nobody knew about it. Oh, that's what they invested in. They bought, whatever it was, a piece of property had $4 million. No legitimate access to 1 square foot of it. They had to unlawfully cut a hole in an active railroad. Investors. We got that kind of investors in Scottsboro. They invested in it and then they had to figure a way out of it. So, am I disappointed? Yeah. Can we change it? Maybe. Some people that know how to do this, that agree with me, we need zero debt. We don't need investment. We don't need to be in real estate business as a city. We need to provide protection. We're in the recreation business. Got us a splash park. Got all this. And got $45 million or whatever it is worth of debt. $187 an hour or something. Interest we're paying. But anyway, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of... It's a culture that has been developed. It sure is fun to spend other people's money. I want us to go back to what the purpose of our government is, and it get out of the way. And let us businessmen have a way to make a living. The government debacled the banking and all that, so we can't make an investment. They're the only ones that got any money. They got their, what do they call it? Stimulus money. That was not a smart thing. It's all the money that was stimulus went from government to government to government. And that buys people, buys votes where you can get the lobbyist involved, where you spend the money and those people kick back to your campaign, and then where good, honest people can't run. They're crazy to run, you know. It's a triangle. I'll talk about that someday and try to explain that thing a little bit of what I think I have discovered out of that. I blame me and my generation for a long time, but just in recent months I've realized that this whole thing is a lot deeper, and it's a planned deal. It's government people and career government people. And as long as they keep getting our money, they buy their way back in. The lobbyist money. I didn't get any lobbyist money for the campaign I ran. I tried to find out who they were, call them, ask them if, why they would be giving money. All they could find is an address and a suite number, no telephone number. So we've got people that are investing our money in things we probably don't want them to invest in, that they don't have the talent and the knowledge. And the problem, I think, is what my daddy said. I think we've let them get by so long. They don't know they don't know. So this is just another fireside chat. And I have a letter that I'm going to issue to the 5 city councilmen and to the mayor. And I'll put the questions and the answer on Accountable, which is a website that I've got that I purchased for the next 10 years. So Accountable is going to be something, and have a little newsletter, but it's going to have questions. And why did we do this? You know, they've been able to stay away from us and do their thing and do it behind closed doors and not us not even know about it. Who knew they even bought Goose Pond Island? Who knew that they sold Goose Pond Island? Who had a chance to get any of it other than the guy out of Athens, Alabama? I think he made $90, $100 million off of it, and took it back to Limestone County. That's the 5 in 1 that we're dealing with. That's the 5 in 1 that we're elected. But why would they not ask for some real estate people's opinion before they bought Goose Pond Island? Anybody would have said, how are you going to get access for that land behind the railroad? There was one little road that went across the railroad that none of that land had ever, couldn't get to it unless you went through the plant over there. I mean, wouldn't it have been really nice to have had some kind of expertise brought in? But it was sort of, seemed like to me, all of that done in the dark. I didn't know they bought it. Didn't know they sold it till after it was sold and it was in the newspaper. And probably, I believe, you know, I've had a real estate person or two tell me it was totally illegally sold. Illegally cut the railroad, illegally sold it. If you buy a used wheelbarrow from the city, you got to have 3 bids on it. But you sell a piece of property for $9 million that somebody makes $100 million on, and there's no bids on it? Probably illegal. Investors, 18-year-olds, got people like that, you know, wanting to be career government employees, career politicians. Studied political science, had a degree in political science. I don't guess political science teaches you to look for access to the property anywhere then. Or getting into building warehouses that won't sell or rent. Or buying buildings out on the parkway that we rent for $1 and pay interest for the next 30 years. So, do I take any kind of objection to any of that? Of course I do. Everybody else that knows about it, that's a taxpayer, that hard worker, gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Every time that we spend $1, the city gets 3 cents of it. So I guess my cry is going to continue to be, stop it. Thank you.